Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Full-time MMA?
MMA,
Nothing
yeah.
else?
My life, man, yeah.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full-time
MMA.
Naija! Boom, do. Naija! My motherfucking dog, Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian nightmare, the Wakandan general, the Black Panther himself, has shared hopes for a star-studded UFC card in Africa. I gotta admit, man, when you hear these names, I gotta say, hey, we could be looking at something here. But I haven't heard any talks of like the UFC, you know, like going to Africa anytime soon. But either way, if they did, could you motherfuckers take Tyron Woodley with you? No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke. But with that being said, though, Kamaru Usman, this is what he had to say about a potential UFC card in Africa. This is one thing I want to highlight as well. Great job to Darren Till. He's really done a great job with the platform he's been given. But you put him in Liverpool. The guy from Liverpool that you put there, that's excelling. That's doing well now. You trying to tell me if you put me in Nigeria, or not just me, if you put me and Francis in Israel and Razak anywhere in Africa, we won't do a stadium? We do a stadium easy. Anywhere in Africa, we do a stadium easy. And that's actually a great point by Kamaru Usman, but to my point earlier, I don't know if the UFC is as worried about the African market. I don't know if it's got to do with the pay-per-view model, because I'm not a fucking UFC executive, so I don't have the details like that. But like Kamaru Usman was saying, you know, Darren Till started to get this big push, right? Because he's kind of going to be like the next face of UK MMA. You know, with Michael Bisping retiring, you need a new guy. Well, I don't think the UFC has like a face of African MMA, or they even want one. Because if they did, they would probably be giving Kamaru Usman this push. Or Francis Ngannou's getting a little bit of a push. But I'm not sure if that's got to do with, you know, the African market, or if it's just because he's a big fucking beastie heavyweight that everybody wants to see anyway. And also he's from France as well. You know, he's kind of multicultural. It's not just an African thing. But if the UFC was potentially interested in the African continent's market, we could be looking at a major UFC Wakanda here, right? With Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, Francis Ngannou, and even Razak Al Hassan, who looked good in his last UFC fight. So Kamaru Usman might be onto something here, and also I think he makes another good point, because the UFC does say that a lot, right? When you look at some of the fighters that are being pushed, we'll just use Darren Till for example, because we have him here. It's because, you know, the Liverpool, you can use Conor McGregor for another example, right? The Liverpoolians and the UK market is behind Darren Till. What was it with Conor McGregor? Like, the way the Irish fans show out for Conor McGregor, that's part of the reason he got such a big push, right? Because his fans supported him. They were willing to fly over here by the fucking plane loads to buy Conor McGregor pay-per-view tickets and shit like that. So Kamaru Usman's bringing up this interesting point, like, what's up, you know, are there any African UFC fans out there, you know what I'm saying, that potentially would be interested in filling up an arena for these African fighters, like Francis Ngannou, like Kamaru Usman, like Israel Adesanya, you know what I'm saying? So this is just a point brought up by Kamaru Usman. Interesting point, but my thoughts on it are just, yeah, I'm not sure if the UFC's really worried about the African market as far as the continent. I'm not talking about African Americans or fucking black people, nothing like that. I'm talking about the literal country, Africa. Like, I wonder if they're interested in the UFC or what's going on there. They probably don't buy pay-per-views, right? Because if they bought pay-per-views, then the UFC would probably still be pumping up these fighters, I would assume, giving them a little bit of a push, you know, that extra push fighters are always talking about, because you would be selling a lot of pay-per-views to that continent. But as of right now, there are some continents and countries that don't buy pay-per-views, right? The UFC pay-per-views come on their free TV. So if that is the case, probably not too interested in selling you pay-per-views because you're not buying pay-per-views. So all of that could come into play. We're not going to do too deep of a dive here because we're not part of the UFC's marketing team. We don't know why they do what they do, who gets what they get. But Kamaru Usman did bring up this interesting point about a potential UFC Wakanda, and I gotta say, I'm in. With that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. And as always, thanks for checking out this video. If you're new or if you're just slipper slacking on your pimping, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. And if you want to help support this independent channel, you can either click the PayPal button in the description or you can go to patreon.com/fulltimemma and consider becoming a patron. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.